Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is in the world, wherever you are tuning in from. If you're in California, it's about 6 in the morning. If you're in New York, I think it's 9 in the morning. If you're in the UK, 2 p.m. And if you are on mainland continental Europe, at least in the sort of western half, it's 3 p.m. I'm getting better at knowing time zones. Somewhere in India, it's, I don't know, 9:30 maybe in the evening and whatever. Mario, I'm going to stop talking about time zones. We're not here to talk that. We're here to talk tennis. How are you doing today?
Well, fine. It's a special day for Italian tennis, actually. Women
Yeah.
in a singles final. If we add, men's and women's singles, it's the second straight Grand Slam that there is an Italian in a final. Actually, men's single this time is the only main competition we don't have a player in the final. And yeah, it's going to be a huge one for both players because for both there's so much on the line. Of course, Paolini with first Grand Slam final, it's an amazing achievement regardless of what's going to happen today. And Świątek also, because let's not forget that she already won Madrid and Rome, and so she can complete an achievement that only one player has been able to achieve in singles since 2009, where these three tournaments have been established in the current format. It's been Serena Williams, of course, and actually a doubles pair also has done it, which has been Vinci and Errani 12 years ago. And yeah, so it's very rare, and especially in singles, I mean, it's incredibly difficult to do. So yeah, let's see.
What do you think? I'm conflicted and trying to approach this topic as best I can, which is basically we have an overwhelming favorite
Yeah.
of course, in the form of Iga Swiatek. And of course, there's a lot of speculation and talk of, can it be an interesting final? We hope it's an interesting final. We hope it's competitive. We would love to see 3 sets. There is a danger, and I think we have to recognize that it could be Iga breaks Paolini in her first service game, and it ends up being a comfortable victory. But how do we talk about it, Mario, while still respecting the possibility that Jasmine Paolini can win, whilst recognizing it's extremely, extremely tall order, extremely unlikely, if you like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think we will simply say exactly more or less what you said, meaning that, we have, of course, a player who's a very, very big favorite and would have been so with, 90% of the women's draw. On paper, there are very few players which today would have started the match with a 40%, let's say, like this. I'm thinking about, of course, players like Sabalenka, Rybakina. We've seen Osaka were doing so in the second round. Even someone like Osaka, in a final would have been probably a different speech than in the second round. So I don't know. For sure, Świątek is the biggest player in the sport right now. I'm talking about women's tennis, and she's dominating the tour, and especially on clay, it's very difficult to imagine her getting beaten. Only the Madrid version of Sabalenka actually has been able to really come close to defeat her so far, and Naomi Osaka, of course, in the second round. So two very elite player. But yeah, maybe there can be some pressure also when you are the overwhelming favorite and you're coming on such a big streak. Maybe Paolini can try to play a bit more freely, even if it's a slam final. I don't know for sure. I don't think it's disrespectful towards Jasmine to say that she's really not the favorite today, and there is a big chance that this is going to go more or less like the average Świątek matches are. I
Yeah.
don't think it's disrespectful, and she knows it. I think Jasmine is aware of her role in this match. She just, going to enjoy the moment and play the way she can and try to do her best in order to have some chances. And maybe if Iga strangely is not going to be the best version of herself, then maybe we can see something, in terms of the scoreline. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a bit pointless to talk too much about what we can expect, because I think it's quite clear. Mm, This doesn't mean that this is not worth watching, or that Jasmine, he's not going to have a single chance today. So let's just see, but knowing that for sure Świątek is the very, very big favorite today.
Yeah, but as you say, I mean, she'd be somewhere between favorite and big favorite. Whoever if it was Sabalenka or Rybakina, we'd be looking at 70-75 sort of percent chance. We'd be also having a similar conversation in that we'd be hoping it goes to 3 sets and we get the drama that we've had between those two players on occasions in the past. But even those two players have been eagered, if you like. Even those two players have
Absolutely.
been on the end of some pretty bad results against Iga. Looking at Paolini's journey here, she has gone 3 sets on 3 occasions against Andreescu, against Avanesian, friend of the show, and also, of course, against Rybakina. Semi-final was much more comfortable for her. I think there was an element of maybe Andreeva being a little bit overwhelmed by the occasion.
Yeah.
But Jasmine served quite well. At least that sort of was a strong narrative from that semi-final. And if she can serve very, 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 very well today, it's not, a strong character of her game necessarily, but if she can serve the best match of her life, maybe she'll have some chances. Regarding Iga, I guess we're going to need to see an off day. We're going to have to see an off day for probably one of 2 reasons. One would be anxiety, which I don't think is going to be the case. I guess there could be some complacency, maybe just a slight lack of concentration that she might have in a Madrid final against Sabalenka, when I think she's just, there's going to be no distraction for her whatsoever. That's something. I don't know. Jennifer, want to react to that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Of course, we kind of have to see both things happening. Probably,
Yeah.
Paolini playing at her very best level, and Iga, as I said earlier, strangely, performing a little bit, not a little bit, below her average, which doesn't happen often in finals. It's of course a bit unfortunate because the way Paolini was playing, I think that she would have had good chances more or less against everybody, at least, meaning it can be interesting even against someone like, I don't know, for me probably still Sabalenka was a little bit too high, at least a healthy Sabalenka. But as we saw against Rybakina, she's Paolini showed that she can be a very, very uncomfortable opponent, especially for someone with their features in terms of the game. Against Świątek, it's a bit difficult because she does everything so well, and she seems like not having really particular weaknesses. We say that Świątek can struggle against the classic bashers, but even there, only if they kind of play at their peak level, which doesn't happen often. So it's very difficult to imagine. Probably even on another slam, probably it would feel a little closer than how it feels at the French Open. Here.
I'm a little bit confused, Mario, but nothing about what you've just said. I'm confused for a few reasons. We all make mistakes, by the way. I think I tweeted something the other day about Coco Gauff making her first French Open semi-final. And within a minute, I had like 5 people on Twitter saying she was in the final in 2022.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yes, I know. What an idiot. But anyway, I've just seen, but talking of that, so I'm not here to criticize, but I'm just looking at the WTA website, and they are saying the head-to-head is 0-0. I've just seen on my TV them saying the head-to-head is 1-0 in favor of Iga, but I think it's 2-0, right?
Yeah, because the French Open only counts the main tour, meaning the first one has happened in an ITF 6 years ago, an ITF lower level, and the second one, it has actually
US
happened
Open.
in a US Open 2022, the first round.
Yeah. Straight sets, yeah.
So it's weird that the WTA website is not counting at least this one.
Yeah.
So
anyway, Iga's going to serve first. As I said, I mean, maybe some overconfidence might help, but at least Jasmine is not going to get broken in the first game.
yeah, exactly.
Even if Iga holds, we're still going to be like, well, we're on serve. She's won the first point at 15 love. Ostapenko beating Halep could be a source of hope, says Ghibli. My issue with that, Ghibli, is I just don't think there's Ostapenko's, Paolini's games are comparable. What do you think, Mario?
Yeah, the thing is that Paolini can play very well, but has kind of, let's say, her game is a bit easier to understand. Not that we don't know how Ostapenko plays, but in Ostapenko, we know that she's able to bring that all or nothing performance, and if everything starts going well, and then, as Iga herself knows, it can be, very, very overwhelming for the opponent. And I think it's totally different thing here. Also because it's difficult to imagine, for example, a comfortable first set from Iga, and then her, getting lower with her shots, not raising her level even more. It's difficult.
Yeah, indeed. And we've got 30-15 on the scoreboard. So at least Paolini's off the board with a point.
We avoided the golden set.
I know. I like that point. There was a bit of an unusual one. Bringing Iga into the net, maybe there's something there. It was quite an easy pass in the way for Paolini, and I can see Vanch as well just joining. How are you, Vanch? 6:15 in the morning. Look at that 6:15 a.m. face. Oh dear, what it must listen for 90% of the year. Watching tennis in California must be tough in that respect.
It is, yeah, especially clay and grass season. This is the life.
And you must, when you hear us Europeans complain about the Australian swing, you must be like, oh guys, get over yourselves. It's 1 month a year.
Yeah, I know.
But we do complain. I don't mind like Indian Wells. It's not too bad. I know it's like obviously a 9-hour time difference, but a lot of the big matches are sort of, especially like the finals, is like lunchtime. I mean, I think the finals are like midday or something. I'm actually surprised how early they are, because I remember watching the final this year, Świątek against, who did she play in the final? Świątek in Indian Wells. Sakari, yeah.
Yeah, Sakari.
It must have been like 11 a.m. because I think it started like 7, 8 o'clock. Because even the men's final was like 9 p.m. or 12.
Yeah, it was early. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And Świątek seals that first game with an ace. Vanch, if you can gather your thoughts and answer this question for me. And Ghibli's saying the WTA website doesn't say 2-0 on his, so maybe that was just a glitch. Paolini, give me some Paolini optimism, Vanch, if you can.
Well, I mean, she's got pretty much nothing to lose. Like, I don't think anyone expects her to win at all. So if she can just let it rip, especially on the forehand, where like she has, the really, really heavy, hard ground stroke, and she could just, she's gonna have to take a lot more risk than she normally does.
Yeah,
I think her like that's her only way out. Like just crush every single short serve that she can possibly do. But honestly, there really isn't any optimism.
I mean, listen, I'm not a body language expert, far from it, but we all, can see things going on. And I remember watching Carlos before he walked out for his semi-final against Novak a year ago. And I wasn't predicting this in the days leading up to it, but I saw what looked to me quite an anxious looking Carlos Alcaraz. And of course, it ended up manifesting itself. And it wasn't something I was expecting. In all the previews, we were all talking about the match and the tactics and everything else. What I didn't expect was, of course, was an injury, but also a very, tense Carlos. On the opposite side, looking at Paolini before this match, she looked very relaxed, laughing and just chilled. And that's something that if we can get a nerveless performance from a first-time Grand Slam finalist, again, and she's serving here at 30 love, that's again something that we can just hold serve on arguably the most difficult court on the planet against arguably the most difficult opponent on the planet to hold serve against. But yeah, what about that, Mario? The 30 love start anyway is nice.
Rani here.
Yeah, I saw Rani,
Yeah, it's yeah, for sure. The start is going to be important in that sense. Talking about not just the score, but simply, how her performance can be like, because holding, let's say that after 4 games, we are 2 games all. And then maybe even if, maybe it still ends straight sets for Iga, but maybe Paolini can be, can start even be a little bit more free with her mind, maybe, because first of all, I avoided, I don't know, a bagel in the first set, which can be pretty, bad feeling in a Grand Slam final, especially in your first one, and you don't know how many more you will reach. But yeah, it's totally different, of course, situation with Carlos. But I understand your comparison, talking about how, the look is like the body language. Paolini seems like, let's say I even heard her in press conference, her words in Italian, and she seemed quite relaxed because she knows that she's not the favorite, and so that her job today is to try to do her best and to enjoy a big moment. In my opinion, also being 28 can help her to think about the big picture, where she is now and how much this match is kind of unique. And so she has to enjoy it, and I think at her age maybe she has also that maturity to understand that she's not a favorite, but she can still enjoy what's going to happen today.
Yeah. Well, it's now 40-30. Just going to talk us through this point as they exchange backhands here. Ooh, Paolini just going for the winner there, and it did. I'm pretty sure it went wide. I mean, it's being called as out. It was 40 love, of course, for Jasmine. She has gone big on a couple of shots that didn't quite work out, but it is probably something she has to do. And from 40 love, where you're just sort of hoping that she's going to hold, if you like, we're now in a bit of danger for her at deuce. Vance, you did sort of say before the quarterfinal between Paolini and Rybakina that you felt as though Paolini had a very, very, very good chance of winning that match. Very different proposition against Iga. But what was it that gave you that confidence regarding Jasmine?
Well, first of all, I just remember Rybakina at the start of the tournament talking about her health, and if she was pushed physically, she didn't quite know how she would, come through those matches. And then I remember like sort of the players that have bothered Rybakina in the past. I remember Paolini being one of them in Stuttgart and also in Cincinnati last year. I was there when they played each other, and actually like Paolini packs such a serious punch that if Rybakina is not moving as well as she needs to, then she gets pushed behind the baseline with Paulini's weight of shot. And then also what else really made me, I also thought maybe the conditions, if it's a warm sunny day and the ball is bouncing pretty high above where Rybakina likes it in her strike zone, and if Paolini can just extend the points and get, if Rybakina doesn't have a great serving day, like I thought there was some chances for an upset there. Like if I looked at all the other top 4 seeds, I thought that's the one where Rybakina can be a little bit vulnerable in the right circumstances and conditions. And of course, Rybakina didn't play her best match. In fact, far from it. She made 48 unforced errors, and she was quite lethargic and just like she can play much better than that. But I still thought she needed to play a certain level. Whereas for the others, I thought okay, they can kind of get away if they're not playing their very best tennis against that particular opponent. But That one, I
like
think that's a little bit of danger.
I like this comment from Ghibli. Just 1 second, Mario. I like this comment from Ghibli
Yeah,
because actually Świątek has just missed a couple of times, having had break point. And yeah, maybe we need that to happen. The final when Graf won 6-love was against Natasha Zvereva in 1988. There is actually a funny stat I read the other day about Zvereva, and I started to write a tweet about it, and then I forgot all about it and never sent the tweet, but I can't remember what the stat was. Anyway, go on, Mario. You want to say something?
No, yeah, I wanted to say that against Rybakina, I feel like Paolini is able to put Rybakina into a uncomfortable situation, also because let's say that Paolini's biggest quality, in my opinion, that she gives the rally kind of good rhythm and forces Rybakina also to stay a little bit lower than she prefers with a lot of shots. And tactical wise can be a bit uncomfortable for Rybakina if she's not, maybe overwhelming Paolini with the serve. But I feel like in this condition, it would have been a bit difficult to win the match, more or less thanks to the level on serve. And yeah, I think also the match in Stuttgart, also having that in mind, it could have also given Paolini good confidence before the match going on court, because that was a great fight. So if I did it in Stuttgart, and then she beat Iga, she won the title after beating me in Stuttgart. So why I can't maybe beat her this time? So yeah, it was, but it was totally different, for the way also both play.
Ghibli, you say you might be wrong, but I think you're right, because you said you need Iga to miss a few, and she's just missed, I think, 5 in a row, maybe certainly 4 in a row. So it was advantage.
Another one.
So it's 5 shots now from Iga that have gone awry. There was one that clipped the net and landed out, I think, on break point, and basically she's followed that up with 4 other just unusual errors, I would say, from her. 5 errors in a row, Ghibli. So I think you're 100% right with needing that. And now it's love 30 on the Świątek serve. So suddenly here we are. We are in a match, and I'm very pleased about that, albeit just 11 minutes on the clock. She's going to have to defend for her life as well. And it's 15-30. That was a tough one there. Yeah, cool. So 15-30. Are you waking up now, Vance? You feeling better?
Yeah.
I saw you backstage, and I just brought you forward immediately. Normally, I sort of ask for the thumbs up, so I apologize for just thrusting you into the limelight. Morning, Ashley, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a lot about opening the angles right from the start of the rally, a bit for both, and especially for Iga. That's what she's trying to do.
And I can see that the amount of times that Paolini's been basically out of the court. Oh, see, that was a really good. I think she's won the point. She has, because Iga has erred. By the way, for those of you that aren't watching and you're wondering why am I going, what? Because Paolini hit a precise shot, okay? It wasn't with a great deal of power, but it was enough to put Iga in a bad situation. She then goes for a nice drop shot. Iga runs it down, but then she errs. I think 6 times out of 10, Iga doesn't put that out, but she did. And we have 2 break points for Jasmine Paolini.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about holding, but actually watching the numbers this morning about, of course, their season and the tournament, these 2 players are among the players, with the highest numbers on return, also Paolini. So, for Paolini, it's also a lot about trying to get some some damage at Iga on her service game, because it's difficult to imagine her holding, forever every single service game. So if she manages to do her break like here, then it gets easier, of course, because
listen, sorry to interrupt, but I'm just going to say something to the audience now, Mario, is that if we should be impartial, we are also human beings, and I want to see, I really enjoy Iga, and I enjoy her tennis, and I enjoy her personality, and I've had some nice conversations, or conversation is exaggeration, but I've been in an environment where there's just 3 journalists talking to her at almost 2 o'clock in the morning in Madrid, and I'm very appreciative of Iga giving us that time. but I also want to see an amazing final. And if Iga wins 7-5 in the third, I will be delighted, So that's an Iga Swiatek win. But I don't want to see 6-love, 6-2 or 6-2, 6-love. So me being very happy that Jasmine Paolini gets that break. I hope you can understand. Go on, Vance, you've got something to say, I think.
Yeah, I was also just thinking before this match, someone who bothered Iga a little bit in Rome was Yulia Putintseva. And she's I don't think there's so many parallels between them, but Yulia Putintseva is also another player who keeps you on her toes, throws in a lot of variety, uses short angles. It's like there's some similarities between her and Jasmine Paolini, and Putintseva had a very good year. And my point is, she was 1 point away from going 5-1 up in the second set against Iga. So that maybe is also something where in these kind of conditions on a sunny day, like she can kind of go toe to toe with Iga at some point. Now there might be just a point in the match where Iga she finds her gear from the back of the court and all of a sudden wins 4 or 5 games in a row. But this early break is pretty encouraging for her, especially when it looked like she was going to get broken for 2-love, and then now she's up 2-1 serving. Actually, funny thing about Putintseva, I also thought about that when I was thinking about the Rybakina prediction. Because I was like, I remember the Putintseva-Rybakina match in Madrid, I think it was, in the quarters, where Putintseva had a match point, and I figured, like, okay,
yeah,
like,
I think it was like
Putintseva
that.
can do it. I think Paolini has a shot here.
A shot at winning the match, or a shot at
at winning the match.
And okay, I mean we are.
I started winning the match against Rybakina, not against.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I should have made that clear.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Well, we've got love 30 on the serve, and in fact, those 2 points is kind of probably a little bit more about how we imagine some of the rallies going. That Iga's precision with the depth is eventually gonna tell on Jasmine. So it's love 30, and she's got a second serve here to attack, which of course she does, but she's not quite in charge of the rally yet. But now Jasmine errs and puts a shot into the tram line, and we're at love 40. Something in the chat I want to respond to. Don't remember. She's doing a Sinner Alcaraz. Paolini chucks in that was the thing, Ghibli. I was thinking as well with that Putintseva comparison is we also need some of the feistiness that Putintseva is capable of, which Jasmine is in her own unique way. But there's a smile on Jasmine's face that I find disarming. That Putintseva is a bit more like putting a finger up. in the UK we do 2 fingers, but I know in other parts of the world it's just 1. But you get the message. Second serve here for Świątek to look at, and it's a wonderful return from Iga, and she gets the break back immediately, and it's 2 games all. Of course, it was a year ago when we had a very, very competitive final that was looking like it wasn't going to be, when Iga won the first set very easily. In fact, she was up a set and a break. So again, fingers crossed. If we get a final like that, again, I'll be delighted. But yeah, let's see. Oh, there's Radwanska in the crowd.
Yeah, she was playing the Legend.
Oh, was she? Okay.
Yeah, and today she played with Davenport.
Oh, okay. And did they win? Do you know?
Yeah, they won. Against? I don't remember.
Vance, you didn't get up at 4 a.m. to watch the Legends then?
Oh no, I missed it.
Okay, so 2 games all here. Iga on serve and in charge of this rally, more or less. Oh, lovely angle there from Iga. We were talking about the angles. It's going to be difficult for Jasmine to get back into this rally, but she's fighting and fighting hard. And she's still in this rally. Short ball there, and Iga's, still very much in charge of this. But she's not but eventually it takes its toll, and it's 15 love. I mean, Jasmine did really well to hang on there, and if we get 2, even just 2 tight sets, we might find that Jasmine eventually is going to have run 8 kilometers and Iga 5, and again that may take its toll as well.
For me, it's also a bit not just about the score, but also having some entertaining rallies, some fun points, which can also be. I remember, for example, that Errani was in the final at the French Open against Sharapova, and even if it was a comfortable win for Sharapova in 2012, but I remember that final as quite an entertaining one in the end. even if there wasn't big drama in terms of who was going to win that one. So as for now, I think we are having fun.
We are. I mean, we've now, whatever happens in the next 2 or 3 points, we've got to the midpoint of the first set, and we've still got some intrigue involved. Świątek hitting 8 winners, Paolini 1. I think it's maybe not such a surprising stat. Maybe 8 winners in the first 5 games is quite impressive. Was it the semi? Who did Iga play in the semi-final? I should know. It was only a couple of days ago. Goff, of course. And in that first set, I think it was something like just 2 winners off the racket of Iga at one stage, maybe even and I was like, wow, that's not. I mean, Iga had won the first set, so it doesn't really matter. But I was like, wow, I think maybe Goff even outwinned her in the first set.
It wasn't Iga's fault.
No.
Goff tried to really, stall her the lead in the rallies.
Yeah.
Especially in that first set, but just committed, too many mistakes. So for Iga, it was, she wasn't really having the time to blast winners or something like that. So.
Yeah, right. And so actually now, when you explain it like that, it just makes total sense. That if if your opponent is committing a lot of unforced errors, it makes it difficult to hit too many winners.
Yeah, Goff was so far out of her comfort zone in that match, which actually, I can't really blame her. When you have a 1 in 10 head-to-head, you have to try something totally different. And so I was like, yeah, go for it. I mean, it's not her prototype at all. She tried to play that match like she was Rybakina, Sabalenka, or Osaka, but that's and she tried it one way totally different last year, and now she tried this. So
also because she had plenty of matches to understand that she feels very uncomfortable rallying with Iga over and over again, and so it made sense to try a more aggressive plan.
So I'm just watching a pretty special rally here. Ends with an unforced error from Paolini, but it was a really exciting rally because they were just hitting the ball with such venom, actually, and Jasmine was being pulled and pushed, as we know that only Iga can. But again, she was hanging in there, and Jasmine was not just hanging in there; she was getting some really good depth on her shots and with a lot of power as well. Nevertheless, I'm talking like Jasmine won the point, but she didn't. Iga did, and it's 3-2. But if Jasmine can stay really, really consistent with that length of depth on those shots, even when she's in a slightly defensive position, she has a chance here of making this first set at the very least very interesting. She's done so until now. Fingers crossed she can keep it competitive until maybe a tiebreak, and then we'll see.
I made a prediction before the match.
Did you?
And it was 3-3.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Really? 3-3, nice.
For Jasmine Paolini.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry if I didn't.
Yeah. I mean,
mine
Ghibli
was 4-6-1.
6-4, 6-1.
So I actually gave Paolini 4 games in the first set. I thought she might come out.
4-1. Okay, so more or less Sakari style, in Indian Wells.
Yeah.
Did that get to 4-all then? Did it that first set?
It did, yeah. 4-all, and then it was over like that.
Yeah, as so often it can be. Ghibli here asking, does she attack second serve? For me, yes. I mean, that seems a fairly, you've got to try and on occasion, because you're probably going to get Iga on the back foot in not many points. But for me, that seems to be an area of the game where Jasmine's coming into the net here. Fingers crossed she can get a racket on this and do a bit more, but it's probably not going to be enough. She's in a bit of trouble here, and that's going to go out. Yeah, love 15.
But it's right. It's right. She did right.
She did. There was maybe just, maybe she went a bit.
This forehand, but more or less she did.
Yeah.
If she was Rybakina, she would have just smashed it.
Exactly. I was about to say she cannot grow 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters mid-match. I wish she could.
Yeah.
But anyway. Lovely 1-2 there. The The problem with that 1-2 that she just did, which I think was off a second serve, was that second serve? I can't remember now. But the problem is that you keep doing this level on the 1-2 from Jasmine, and you're probably going to miss 50% of those. I love that attitude, but I just when I saw her go for the 1-2 there, I thought, oh, this is going to go up. No, and it landed in, and I was like, okay, lovely.
Yeah, but the thing is that how do you prefer? If you have to lose, how do you prefer doing it?
Oh, of course. Just as you were saying about Goff in a way.
You just have to go down swinging.
Yeah.
If there's no other option.
Absolutely.
See, here she's telling herself, I should have kept going.
Maybe, but
cross court.
Yeah, but as we just said, swinging, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's because she missed. If she hadn't missed.
Yeah, of course. Her mother, by the way, looks like the most content woman in the stadium. Everyone else is on the edge of their seats or a bit anxious. And, the Polish people, I saw a big Polish fan or a big Świątek fan, in the chat saying he's nervous about this. And yet, Jasmine Paolini's mother looks as cool as a cucumber. Maybe it's because she knows that she's a friend of talking tennis. Jasmine, not Jasmine's mother, not yet. We'll get Jasmine's mother later, but we've got and Iga there, so it's 30 all.
This was a very good rally.
Yeah.
15 shots.
Some of these points, yeah.
And I think Iga's tactic is right, actually. I think she's doing, everything tactical-wise well in order to put Paolini into uncomfortable situations. So, so far we are watching a good one. A few mistakes from Świątek where she could have broken 4-love, but it's also normal. We have our standards very, very high when it comes to Iga. So, break point.
Yes. Good morning, Ghosty. Yeah, probably the biggest point of the match so far now, because obviously 2-4 is a big difference. 30-40. So Jasmine to serve, goes out wide, but actually pushes the ball wide. So it's a second serve here for Iga to look at with that classic sort of return stance, ready to pounce, and it's a double fault.
Oh,
and
no.
We have a 4-2 lead again. Though, it's a case of maybe swinging as well. I mean, that was a double fault where she just took a bit of a risk on it, and it, of course, didn't pay off.
Yeah. But I like her attitude the first 5, 6,
Me too.
7 games. This is not really a player who's overwhelmed by the occasion at all.
(4-2), Iga leads. Iga can stop Iga. Ghibli, yes, I agree. Probably 90% of matches on clay, or at least outdoor clay, if you like, not looking at Stuttgart as much. Only Iga can stop Iga in a way if she just has a bad day at the office. I do think that Sabalenka and certainly Rybakina can do something.
Thing is,
go on,
actually,
Mario.
Even if Iga is a bit below her top level on clay, who are the player who are good enough to, have her chances against her, even, if she's not playing at 100%. And these players, I think that still have. Then, of course, it's difficult when Iga plays especially in some tournaments, but
yeah. Roman Roland Garros especially is the toughest.
Yeah.
Stuttgart and Madrid, like they have the best chance.
A French Open final though, with this environment, I do think of a Rybakina or a Sabalenka, like a slightly under par Świątek, where I think she was not 100% like unbelievable against Coco, for example, or maybe some other matches in the last few months on clay. Maybe against Coco, for example, in Rome, which she was good, but I've seen her play better. It's still going to be 95% of the tour in straight sets. And yet that Iga may well lose to Rybakina or Sabalenka, even in Paris, where she is so dominant. There may be some passages of play that those two players can create. You know, I think it would be, if this was a Sabalenka, you know, again, I'm not disrespecting Paolini because I think it's been an interesting match so far and I want it to continue that way. I just think that one of those two players playing Świątek in this final, for example, you think, okay, this could, oh, lovely pass. This could be a fight. Like if one of those two loses the first set, you're still thinking, you know, Sabalenka serves incredibly for 3 or 4 games, and she's going to give herself a chance to push it to a third, if you like. So that's just my feeling, at least going into the match, and it may well be a blowout, and it often is. Look at the Rome final between Sabalenka and Świątek, and you'd be right to point to that. But I still think that the final remains intriguing for a long period.
But still, you know, even when the score is comfortable, it's a match where Iga cannot afford to really drop her level because,
Exactly.
for example, in the Rome final at the beginning of the second set,
Yeah,
things
7
would have
big points.
gone in a different way. If Sabalenka is able to
There you go.
take the break point, then you don't know. Maybe Iga wins anyway, but there's still that feeling that she cannot afford to drop her level. And that's the most important thing when she plays, you know, the top contenders of the game. But of course, it's not, you know, how tournament works. You know, all the players have their path, and then 2 of them meet in the finals. So it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I also don't understand when there are comments like it's Osaka would have deserved the second place and more payment. Yeah, I know it's a bit said
I saw
also,
that,
you know,
yeah.
in a funny way, maybe, but still, it's not just how things work.
Was that John Vertheim who tweeted
I
that?
think yes.
Yeah.
What did he tweet? I missed that.
It was something along those lines, but I think he was kind of like joking a bit. Like,
No, I mean, if it's, I know, but you know, still, it's like that. Not every tournament will have, you know, the best final possible because it's, especially, you know, when there are so many players involved in a draw, it's not easy that. I mean, in the end, I've seen that, I don't remember, across the last 34 majors, I think we had 9 or 10 finals between 2 top 10 players.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually 9, but it counts as 10 because it includes Sabalenka Rybakina Australian Open, because Rybakina would have been a top 10 player, you know, with their Wimbledon points from.
Yeah.
this is the tweet, but yeah, this should be the final. It's too ungenerous, but there should be some sort of knowledge. Yeah. Oh, Nerlan is in the chat just to bring some rationality to our discussion. I wonder what his take is. There'll be some very interesting Świątek takes from Nerlan entering our chat very soon, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
We've got love 30 here, so we are in a very big area of danger for Jasmine in terms of this first set. And we're going to have a second serve here for.
Now you can see that Iga has really found her rhythm from the baseline.
Yeah.
When she's hitting that sort of inside out or backhand line and then opening up the court like that, and she has a short forehand in the middle of the court. That's when you know, like, okay.
Jasmine was doing exactly what she had to do, but it was 5 or 6, was it? Certainly 5 pretty bad errors in the row, or not bad, but errors that can happen off the racket of Iga that put Jasmine into a pretty good position at 2-1, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
But since then, there haven't been quite so many errors coming off the racket. And that return from Iga was basically perfect in terms of where it landed on the court, and not much Jasmine could do about that. And so we have got the first set going the way of Iga Swiatek 6-2. We had 20 minutes of fun, and then we had 14 minutes of Iga doing what Iga does. If we get 20 more minutes of fun, I'll be also
happy. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the main difference, I think, between Iga and some other top players, that, some top players at times can turn into that control mode. For example, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, Sabalenka here, probably a couple of return would have just risked those returns a bit more and maybe missed those and maybe holds, and it's a 6-3, for example. Iga is just so clinic every game, every point, and this is why she's special, also.
Yeah. It's like that perfect combination between taking risks but feeling like it's so safe that she could do it over and over and over and not miss. Also, Iga's serve this tournament has been very good. Yeah, particularly in the Coco Gauff match, her serve was very, very good. Like, she won 31% unreturned first serves.
I've heard as well, I think from Gil Gross, about how she's getting a few more kilometers per hour on that
she
serve.
hit one serve actually against Coco that was 123 miles, which I don't know what it is in. I think 198 maybe in kilometers.
Okay,
I have to double check, but
which is almost Coco levels. And if she's getting that level of her game increased, if you like, or improved, which I guess is down to some of these tweaks at the beginning of the year or the end of last year that were being mentioned a lot, about how she changed her serve a little bit. A lot of people were quite critical of her making these adjustments as she was struggling throughout that Australian swing. And it was like, why has she done this? She's gone backwards. And well, I think we're now seeing the results of that we're always going to need a few months to manifest themselves before we could draw any conclusions. But we are seeing how another string to her bow is developing, Vanch.
Yeah, exactly. She can basically just go hit those harder, like at the body, and still get this same payout. Like it's not. Yeah, it's like extra 10 miles is pretty significant at this level. So
got a question here for you, Vanch, by the way. And I it's funny how it's worded from Nerlang. It's like, I want your honest opinion. So he doesn't want your dishonest opinion, Vanch. Like you're going to be dishonest about this. He just wants to know basically about, Osaka against Iga on a hard court, really, rather than clay, and how that might play out.
Yeah, with the US Open and Australian Open, faster court. The problem is, like just copy pasting that level and trying to do that again. It does make you think, like, if she can do this on clay. I know it was indoors, and she has like 4 or 5 more months to build more momentum out of it, and she gets more decent results, makes more deep runs. She's much more confident, and she plays Iga in like a third or fourth round or a quarters. Yeah, then it could be a really, really good match. I don't know if it'll be the same scoreline, if she'll win. She might still lose and play really well. Like Iga can also just learn a lot from the French Open match, and it not be as competitive. So I don't really know how to answer that, but like I think we'd have a match at least. I think we'd have a very intriguing, like very close, hard fought. Like there would be some jeopardy for Iga, but I don't know if Naomi would actually win. Like definitely, like I don't know.
But I know what Nerlan is sort of hinting at, and I understand the temptation.
It's a good question, actually.
And I think the temptation for most of us would be like, well, if there's 1 or 2 points in it on Philippe Chatrier, and then theoretically, it's almost like maybe a sort of a Rafa Roger thing, albeit we're looking at grass with Roger, aren't we? But if suddenly Rafa is getting 1 or 2 points away from winning Wimbledon, as he was in, say, 06 or 07, and Rafa is still like miles ahead of him on clay, we're sort of going into the sort of territory of Rafa's almost mini winning that fight, even if it's one each. You know, if he's getting closer and closer on the grass, and of course we all know how that story played out in 2008. We're almost sort of giving the win there to Rafa, and if Naomi is able to go that close on Philippe Chatrier, we're sort of, you know, almost before it happens, thinking that level is enough to beat on a hard court. I think Naomi even said that in her post-match press conference. She said, "I can't wait to play Iga on a hard court." By the way, I'm smiling after the first point of this set because Paolini had a lovely passing shot that gave it to her. But then I'm smiling because Jasmine is smiling, and so is Jasmine's mother, and I'm just loving the smiles. Sorry, Mario, what were you saying?
No, the thing is that, in my opinion, and I think that being on the Chatrier has played a big role in that match. In the end, if you watch the match, and it was, you know, under the roof, and at some point Osaka managed to make it also a bit first strike tennis. She's been good also in sustaining the rally, but in the end, I think it's been the classic clay court match between the two. So yeah, for sure, maybe for sure, if she plays at that level at the US Open, of course she can get the win. But how do we know if she actually wins or not, or what the score looks like? She's a great player, so she's going to have some chances, that's for sure.
Yeah, the indoors thing is something we must not forget. Like that just makes it.
Yeah,
like,
the ball also bounces not so high. Maybe trajectory becomes easier to read from Osaka.
Right. And no sun, no wind, no other outside.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, a lot of things that on the clay can bother you. Maybe, you know, there weren't that much of a factor that day.
Yeah, I agree with Alex here as well, that the spinny sort of forehand off Paolini is not maybe going to trouble Iga as much as an all-firing Penko or Naomi. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I did keep referencing Philippe Chatrier, but you're right. There was a bit of a conditions at play there. But hey, what an absolute joy that match was. And if it was the sort of final for some people, that's fine. But this is not quite how tennis works, as Mario said. 15 love here for Jasmine Paolini as she tries to get on the scoreboard in this second set. Second serve goes into the net, so it's a double fault. The second one in a few games from her. I think it might be just the second one of the match, but yeah, obviously can't afford too many of those.
Somebody's talking about the Western grip. Yeah, it does make it a little bit harder if the ball is coming really, really fast at you, and you have to try to redirect that pace. But that's where I think Iga, like, at some point, you know, the narrative was like, oh, you know, a lot of the narrative has been like, yeah, the big flat power hitters can really just rush Iga and take her time away. But I also thought in a lot of those matches, Iga kind of hit herself out of the match.
Okay.
So I think, you know, that's an adjustment that I think she's starting to learn a lot. Like, she's starting to hold up a lot better in some of those situations, at least in those really, really tight matches. She's starting to win a lot more of them by just sort of realizing that, hey, if I can use my athleticism and my really good movement and foot speed and, you know, coax a lot of errors out of them and just make them play extra balls, that's probably where my strength is going to lie. Then if that keeps happening and I keep getting more and more wins, you know, then that kind of shifts the way that she views those flat power hitters.
Yeah. And there's Iga creating the angles that we've spoke about as well. That's just eventually gonna trouble Jasmine, and she's got 15-40. The Ostapenko thing, a lot is made of that, and I understand it's very tempting to look at it 4-0.
It's an overstatement.
It is. Really is. Like, I mean,
it's one match.
I consider it a meme almost on Twitter.
Yeah. They've only played once. They've only played once in the last 2 years.
Yes, that's what I mean. Once in this.
So a lot it's very overblown for sure. I agree with that.
If we see 2 or 3 more go this way, even if it's just Paolini winning 2 of the next 3, So if it suddenly becomes, say, 6-1 or something, and then yeah, sure. If I, it's almost like, having a head-to-head against Medvedev, like of 3-0 or something, but you haven't played him for 4 years. Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a head-to-head against Carlos of 3-0, but I played him when he was 7.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm exaggerating there slightly, but yeah, I just want to see lovely couple of serves there from Paolini to get back to Juice. Yeah, and even then, that match at the US Open, yeah, Iga kind of, yeah, maybe she lost it as much as Ostapenko won it. I'd love to see them keep playing each other. I just wish they played each other a bit more, so I can then believe the narrative a bit more. Yeah, I'd love it.
Yeah,
It's
like
too
I think
much
last
draw
year,
dependent. That's
I
the
mean,
thing.
last year they could have met in Rome, but then Iga got injured against Rybakina. She was up 6-2, 4-2. So she wins that match. That's like the closest I've seen them actually playing in, like, almost coming to play other than the US Open. Apart from that, they just never meet.
Paolini had a game point there, and actually probably for one of the first times actually did sort of not maybe quite delivering a point, and she puts a backhand into the net, and it's Juice.
Changed her game. Why does she need it? Iga changed her game. I mean, does she really need to change her game?
Change range better on other surfaces. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the grass thing, but I think we might see a Carlos Alcaraz development for her on the grass in terms of the way that she's such a good mover. I don't think she'll get there at the same level or the same speed as which Carlos has adapted. I still think there's a Wimbledon title in her.
Oh
She's
yeah,
just so
yeah, absolutely. Like she's so fast afoot, and the improvements that she made already last year for the year before was already quite big. So
yeah. I mean, her getting to the quarterfinal last year, quarterfinal at Wimbledon, right? Last year.
yeah, quarterfinal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
quarterfinalized. I don't even count 2022 if we are honest, because she was
yeah.
totally
One second,
gassed.
Mary. Just 1 second. We've
Right,
seen
right. I
error
didn't
from
have
Paolini.
any lead-in tournament.
We've seen an unforced error from Paolini, and we've got 2-love Iga. Sorry, Vanch, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I kind of agree with Mario. Yeah, like it was just right after the win streak. She had no preparation going in. Pulled out of those warm-up tournaments. Like I don't know if we can really read anything into it.
In the end, in 2021, she made the 4th round and she lost against Jabeur, which proved to be, tough to beat at Wimbledon. So for the 2021 version of Iga, is not a bad loss. And yeah, last year against Svitolina was a very close one in the end. Svitolina was playing at a very high level. I actually thought it could have been her slam after that quarterfinal.
Yeah. I especially actually me and Damien, I think we both predicted her to win just based on the draw. I think we were looking at the draw
Because
and
I was like, she can beat Vondrousova at this point if she plays this level, and then
actually,
she's in the
that Wimbledon
final, so why not?
was a missed opportunity for so many players. Now that
Oh,
you look back.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Exactly.
missed opportunity for
especially-
Jessica Pegula, for Świątek,
Yeah.
for even like I think 3 of those quarterfinals were basically went the other way. Then
Yeah, let's say that I just maybe leave out of the conversation Iga because she has a lot of time ahead, Sabalenka because she still won a couple of slams, even if both at Australia. Rybakina has already won Wimbledon, but if we think about some players who may probably not win a slam, yeah, that was a golden opportunity.
Sure.
We're close to 3-love here. We've got 40-love on the Iga serve, so not a huge amount to talk about in terms of this game right now. Who was close? I missed that conversation. Who had a missed opportunity?
Svitolina. We were talking last year.
That
I said that I thought after that quarterfinal against Iga that it could have been her slam.
Yeah.
For the way she was playing.
Given that we obviously saw the ons in that final, and given how obviously Rybakina and Paolini had both gone out to Jabeur, as Iga puts a wonderful backhand winner down the line, so it's 3-love. Yeah, I mean, it was open. It was there for a lot of people, really, if you think. I mean, it was there for Iga, I guess, as well, and certainly for Svitolina. And yeah, but there we go. Vondrousova was there to pick up the pieces. I mean, by the way, we've got 6-2-3 love, and I can see On Foot suggesting that maybe 6 games was a bit optimistic for Jasmine, but still could happen. I mean, she holds serve 2 or 3 times, and we are in that territory. I'm just watching the wheelchair singles here with the Groot winning again. I don't know how many titles there is for her, but she's won like I think 2 or 3 calendar slams or something.
Yeah, isn't the 15th?
14 in a row.
14th
Well, at least
in a row.
Eurosport are telling me 14 in a row, but they might be wrong.
Yeah, 14. Yes, I saw it. I am just 3-4 seconds behind.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you watching on Eurosport, Mario, or Discovery Plus?
Yeah, Discovery.
Yeah.
Of course,
Sorry,
with ambient sound, as I always do.
You can have the ambience on, can you?
Yeah.
Maybe I can do that too, because I would listen. Nothing against some of the commentators, but I actually would just prefer to have the ambience on. Vance, you were about to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, is it too early to start thinking about, like, I don't know. I mean, I hesitate even just bringing it up because it's so extraordinary. But like 14,
Oh, I
Roland
see.
Garros
No,
for
you can bring it up.
Rafa. I mean, if Iga gets this, she'll be at 4. I know there's obviously Chris Evert and Steffi Graf, and like they have 6, 7. But I have to think, if you have 4 at 23 already, and you're this dominant,
you can bring it up, but I think.
Yeah.
I think Damien and I were talking about this the other day. She has to win like 5 out of 6, if you like, to be on that sort of par. And even then, you need to have a 13, 14-year career, so she still needs to be performing at the age of 34, 35.
Right.
So the chances are, I would still put them at low, but she probably has to win this year and next year at least. She has to win this
in
final.
order to do what?
In order to sort of start speculating, can she get to a sort of Rafa level of, even if we just say 12, 13, 14, that is a sort of Rafa level, isn't it? If you know what I mean. She's just got to win at least 2 more Roland Garros for us to, yeah. It's still unlikely. Even then, 5 out of 6.
Know.
Yeah. I mean, it's still.
I don't know. These are things that are very difficult to predict because how fast things can change.
Yeah. Well, things are not changing.
I would have never expected, honestly, Osaka to still be at 4 at this point of her career.
Vanch, I tell you what I think. I tell you what is, though, we should look at sort of nearer targets, and that target of who's got 6. Is it Chrissy Evert and Steffi?
I think Chrissy has 7. Steffi has 6.
Okay, so those are the targets that we can definitely be talking about, because
absolutely.
Even just overtaking them is a monumental.
So those I think she'll do. She'll overtake.
I think so too. I think so too. But that's I still think it's not. You can say I think she'll do it, but there's, for her to get to 8 French Opens, and she's on 3 right now, albeit in 15 minutes it could be 4. I still think it's, it's a 50-50. You can, you can say I think, and therefore you're suggesting probably better than 50-50. But so many. She could have a new opponent in 12 months that we hadn't considered before on this surface, and we're like, oh wow, it could be like a Roger situation at Wimbledon, where for 3 or 4 years, and then suddenly it's like, oh okay, there's Rafa. Oh okay, there's Novak. Oh okay, there's Murray, that we probably hadn't quite factored into the equation in 2006, 2007. We never thought that Rafa would get there that quickly. We never thought Carlos would be, or many people didn't think Carlos would be.
That's like I never like to answer to people who question like how many slams this player will win, and I'm like, I cannot give you a professional answer. I can give you, a guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you go specifically, like if you say, I think Carlos Alcaraz is going to win 13 Grand Slams, 13, I don't know. But I am guilty, Mario, of saying Carlos Alcaraz right now, do we think he's going to win 10 or more? So we can go binary if you like. And I'm happy to have those conversations. Like, do I think Iga Swiatek will overtake Chrissy Evert, for example, on 7? And I can give you an answer on that, and I'm probably going, yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, in that way, yeah. For example, I like to say it's likely, it's unlikely, it can happen. Yeah, of course, this is right.
You can put asterisk.
Like for instance, 2005 to 2009, right? Like Rafa won 4 titles, and 2009 he didn't, but he won 4 in a row. Iga's now won 4 of her last 5. And I guess the one before that, of course, she did play it in 2019. That's like Nadal playing it in 2004, which I think he was supposed to, but then he got hurt. So,
yeah.
So
By the way,
that record, yeah.
Right now, just looking at Jasmine now, finally looking a bit dejected as she goes a double breakdown. I am reminded of what Madison Keys said a couple of weeks ago in Strasbourg. Of
yeah.
It sucks. It sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah. 15 love.
Do you? I wonder this as just people who just watch tennis based on your personal preference. Do you prefer watching a high quality performance by a player and zero drama in the score, or
probably
do you prefer to watch drama in the score even if the match is not?
I want drama. I want drama in the score first, but I think maybe Vanch is different. Go on.
No, I'm the same with you.
Yeah, I mean, take it. I mean, Vanch or both of you or anyone actually. Yesterday's match for 3 sets, I would say, was not either player, but particularly the player that was losing those sets was way off it. Carlos in the first set, Yannick in the second set. I think there was 1 or 2 physical issues with Yannick in the second set, but I was still enjoying it, and I was like, great, 1 set all, third set, fourth set, I was still like, it probably wasn't till the mid part of the 4th set where we had the incredible points that we saw in New York and so many occasions that these two have played. But I was still on the edge of my seat for a very different reason. The Dominic team, I guess this is the classic example, isn't it? The Dominic team's Zverev final of US Open in 2020, where we really look at it. If you talk about quality, we're sort of looking at it through our fingers. And yet, it still was dramatic. And I'm okay with that. If I'm watching Rafa against Roger 2008 Wimbledon final, 2008 French Open final, where unless you have a Rafa Nadal persuasion, to everyone else, you're probably going, this sucks, So yeah. I'm okay with
because
the worst tennis match ever, but it's 5 sets if you like.
I'm talking about as someone who doesn't watch, for example, the top players in the first week. It's rare. Only if maybe it's night session and there's just that match, it's difficult. Or maybe, Alcaraz De Jong, then maybe De Jong took the third set 6-2. Let me tune in. I'm more like that, honestly, if I have to choose.
And Andy here summing up perfectly. I have, no offense to Iga at all, but I don't probably watch a lot of her matches, especially maybe I watch them at the beginning, but then as soon as she's a double breakup. The Vondrousova match is a great example where I thought, hey, maybe this could be interesting, and it may get interesting for us. No. Yeah, Vondrousova, I think, was the first set 6-love against Vondrousova. And I think I sort of, even though there was not much else tennis happening, I think I went to get a coffee because it was like 3-love in 5 minutes or something. And I was like, well, okay. And I think I tuned in again at the second set, but yeah. And that's not, Iga's just wanting to win a tennis match and want to win a Grand Slam. So I have nothing wrong with that. And she goes 5-love. Yeah.
Absolutely. Of course, every player would want to win in this way and play this well. So, of course, she's going to do that.
What this also means is that every player in the 2020s has now saved match point at Roland Garros and won.
Oh,
for
wow.
Example,
yeah.
So somebody had a match point against Iga last year? Oh, so Iga saved a match point last year?
No. All the players who have won the last 5 years or since 2020, they've all saved match point and won. Yeah, basically that's what I was hinting at. Yeah.
Against Sakari in the semifinal.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Who did Iga save a match point against last year?
No.
No, nobody. It's only this year, yeah, against Naomi, and then 2021 Krejcikova semifinal.
2 players won the French Open in 2020s,
Yeah,
and it was
Okay.
that's what I was
Gotcha.
saying.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got to 1 hour and 11 minutes, and Vance has mentioned Barbora Krejcikova, the San
I have to
Diego
get it
Queen.
in. Yeah.
Vance, you've not done the French Open yet, right?
No, I haven't. I really want to though. I haven't done French or Australia, or actually even New York, but I'm hoping to go this year.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, me
US
too.
Open is my favorite slam.
Yeah, I think it's mine
No.
too. I think it's
Nothing
mine too.
comes close for me in terms when I'm at home and there is the US Open. I don't know, there is a special feeling for me about it.
Yeah, me too.
Probably because it has also been the most open slam. So I don't know, I've always felt a lot of uncertainty around it. I don't know, I've always really, enjoyed following every bit of it.
Yeah, I feel the same. I'm probably not quite as clear cut as you, Mario, but when asked, I remember I was in Paris in 2021 and I was staying with a French friend of mine. He's a Paris Saint-Germain fan. He's international, but he's also French. And I hope people understand what I mean by that. But he asked me, and of course he wants me to give a particular answer. He's like, which is your favorite slam, And we're on the platform at some metro station in Paris. And I say to him, US Open. And he's like, what? Well, yeah, he's like really annoyed. I'm like, don't ask me the question and not be prepared for me to say that the French Open is not my favorite. Be aware
also,
that
I am a fan of the night sessions, so I don't know, there is a special thing about, for me, the US Open.
Yeah, night session Arthur Ashe is so cool. Like
I don't care about the time the players
playing.
go to sleep. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's the one tournament where I'm like, yeah. You can have a late night. Sorry, but yeah.
I said to Damien, join at the end of the match summit, but he's here, and I guess for many of us, we feel as though the end of the match probably occurred. Well, for some people, maybe the end of the match occurred
30 minutes ago. 30 minutes ago, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, some people might argue 48 hours ago, but
yeah,
but
that's actually very true as well.
Yeah, I mean, we are in the territory.
Actually, 10 days ago.
Well, indeed, we can keep going, but I think we can't go much beyond 10 days because
no, we can't go like this because if you're going 10 days ago, then why would Osaka be more dangerous than Sabalenka or Rybakina? So if you're going for 10 days, you might as well just say a year ago or something like that.
Damien, I think there was a little bit of a tongue in Mario's cheek.
Yeah, I was kidding.
Yeah, I know, but that's why we might as well even go a year ago if we're,
Yeah, exactly.
Or 22 years. How old is Iga?
23.
23, yeah. We can keep going with this, but yeah, I think we're done. 30 all here on the Paolini serve. She's got a forehand that she doesn't put away. Maybe she should have done. That's good depth there from Paolini, but now she's in big trouble as Iga comes into the net with a short ball, and she's going to put that volley away. No, she's not. So there we go. We are close to getting a game here for Jasmine. Is volley, now that she's sort of made some of these, suggested improvements to her serve, is the Iga Swiatek volley the sort of the Achilles heel? Is that something that we can look at? No,
I don't think so.
Okay. What can we look at then? Second serve? Is it second serve? Is that what we're looking at?
Not on clay, but maybe sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes
on other fast surfaces, yeah.
What else could we look at? Maybe her choice of music. Maybe
there's no Achilles heel. There's no Achilles heel. I mean, of course, she's not amazing at the net or something, but who is really on the WTA tour? And also, it's just a part of the game that comes in, on 1 out of 50 points. So who cares?
Yeah, indeed. We did have Nerlan in the chat, but he's obviously with every game going the way of Iga. He disappeared. Yeah, Paolini's got a game. Yeah.
Yeah, Nurlan hates it when Iga wins, and he always says that she's gonna struggle, have a hard time. I saw a lot of Polish fans as well before this match, just being like, "Oh, Jasmine is playing the tournament of her life." I mean, yeah, but why would it matter? Like the gap between the players is just so huge that you need like a 150% Jasmine Paolini and a 30% Iga Swiatek for this match to be competitive. It's sad, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's normal when you are just a fan. For me, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times, at times some fans are like scared about something that can potentially in her mind happen, and then maybe after the match are like, "Oh, I was a bit dumb thinking about that." But I don't know. It's just how maybe it goes when you are so diehard that you start
Yeah.
thinking about something that it's impossible to have that happens, but for you in that moment, I don't know.
Yeah.
If
I
Jasmine
guess they were
Paolini,
asleep the last few rounds then.
if Jasmine Paolini wins this in 3 sets, then ignore what I'm about to say. But I think, and analyzing this match, I think is going to be very, very difficult. So I think most of our sort of 5 or 10 minutes post-match will be on the bigger picture regarding Iga Swiatek. So just to be prepared for that, because I just think it was always going to be a tough ask anyway. But a 6-2, 6-1 win, as we may well be looking at, is going to be a tough ask, I think, to analyze. So big picture stuff. And I know Vanch has already touched on some of the bigger picture stuff, but that's probably where we're going to go with this at the end of the match. But for now, it's 15 all on the Iga Swiatek serve. Go on, Vanch.
Is this her second longest win streak ever? It should be, right? Because
Vanch, that's
Should.
exactly what I want post-match.
Yes.
So keep that up your sleeve, and we'll dwell on that in a minute. But 15 all, second serve here for Jasmine Paolini to look at. Probably got to attack this one as much as you can. She gets a net call, but that's not probably going to help her. Iga coming into the net. She should put this swing volley away. She doesn't, but now she's got a smash, and she wins the point from there, 30-15. An hour and 6 minutes on the clock. So at least we've gone 26 minutes, I think it is, beyond Potapova levels.
I mean, it was very difficult to beat it.
I would, if I was playing, I would, if I was playing Iga, I'd probably go for a long bathroom break. I'd try and disrupt as much as possible to just try and go beyond 40 minutes.
Graf Zvereva, 32 maybe, 34.
34, yeah. And
Who's that?
Well, 32 is what some people say because there was a rain delay. And if you actually, there was a rain delay in a 32-minute match. Yes, in a 30-minute final of the French Open. I guess it's not really possible anymore. But,
you're talking about the graph one. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
We've had individual games last longer than that.
Does Iga get rattled by weird antics? Yeah, I think a little bit. I think, okay, we know what we've said about Ostapenko and stuff, but I think Ostapenko gets under her skin a bit. And I've seen Iga get rattled in other scenarios. Maybe not weird antics, but she was certainly a bit rattled against Pegula, I think, a year or two ago.
For Ostapenko, it would be extreme confidence, really, and how you're showing it, right? Pegula, though?
Yeah, it's not about Pegula, yeah. No, it's not about Pegula. It's just about the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I could rattle Iga.
The crowd rattles her against Osaka. She feels compelled to say something about it in the post-match. That's being rattled.
I guess so. I understand it. I can empathize with it. But yeah, by the way, we've just seen Paolini go long with a forehand, I think it was. So we've got championship points. So I'm going to talk us through this. 1 hour, 8 minutes on the clock, 20 past 4 local time, because everybody wants to know what the time is in Paris right now. And we have Thanks. I can always rely on Mario to chuckle at my little silly jokes. 40-30, championship point, first serve incoming. We are going to go to the backhand of Paolini. We are going to go long with that return, and she falls to the floor on her knees. She has won her 4th French Open, her 3rd one, I believe, in a row, if I've got my maths right. 6-2, 6-1 in a manner I think we probably kind of expected, which is why we went in with this sort of feeling of what's the word? Not emptiness, but a little bit of a fear before the match. But listen, that doesn't matter to Iga Swiatek. She is the French Open champion once again. Of course, it's 5 Grand Slams to her name, if you include, of course, the US Open from 2022, much to the delight of her team. And yeah, Damien, the match went probably as we expected. I guess that little mini hiccup for Iga at the beginning of the match when she, I think it was 5 unforced errors in a row that put her in a spot of bother. But after that, she just lost one more game, Damien.
Spot of bother. I mean, yeah, she did go 1-2 down, but yeah, it was just about finding her range as usual. Really, like we're used to seeing these. I'm gonna say slow starts from Świątek, but they're not really slow starts if they only last like 1 or 2 games. But I mean, that's sort of the margin that we're operating on with Iga. I do think Paolini, came out playing fine with good attitude, but it just doesn't matter. The sad thing about this for Jasmine or for anyone else on the tour really who's not Rybakina, Sabalenka, Osaka, Ostapenko, Alexandrova, and the likes, like the sad thing for most of them is that on clay especially, it just doesn't matter. Like Jasmine Paolini could do absolutely nothing in today's final to make it closer. Iga was way too good for that on the day. Iga is way too solid for that in general, playing with a lot of margin along with her power and spin. Yeah, I don't know. As you said earlier, there's not that much to talk about really after this one. Definitely not something that Paolini should be looking back at and thinking, oh, if I did something better, or oh, if I don't know, was more confident or something like that. Perhaps it's even easier, coming out and hitting freely against Iga because you know that no one is counting on you. But in the long run, her chances to win the match were very, very close to 0.
Ghosty here saying, if you're trying to grow the sport, this sucks. Yeah, but there's a million things wrong with tennis and the way it's approached to the people, but that's not Iga Swiatek's business, and it's certainly not her fault. Far from it. Vanch, any post-match thoughts before we do go bigger picture?
No, honestly, on the match itself, I think we covered it. Iga won 11 of the last 12 games from a breakdown, but it kind of just felt like even though Paolini got that break, and I liked her attitudes in the first 5 games, after that it just felt like a bridge way too far for her, and Iga was just way too good for Paolini to ever settle after that.
Mario, being a fellow Italian, let's just get a little word on Paolini and her run to the final. I mean, I saw Jasmine in September last year in Monastir. I was really pleased and really impressed with her there getting to the final. But that day, she played Elise Mertens in the final. And I think Elise won, something like 6 or 7 games in a row. Or I don't remember what the run was. Maybe it was more. It might have been 9 games in a row. I don't remember. And it was like, oh, okay. And her and Elise Mertens, it felt like Elise Mertens was here and Paolini was here. And that's just how it is. And unbelievable that 8 months later, I would never have believed that day that Jasmine Paolini was going to be in the French Open final.
Yeah, absolutely. In the end, she just got a bit better and a bit better and a bit better. So it almost, feels huge, of course, feels a surprise that she's in the final, but maybe we've seen more shocking finalists in Grand Slams, considering all things considered how, this season is going. In the end, she's been actually very consistent this year. A couple of early losses, but no more. And so, yeah, I would say that once she beat Rybakina, for example, I thought very confident about her semifinal against Andreeva, even if she had lost against him in Madrid, but not because Andreeva is not going to be a stronger player, but just due for the circumstances and also what we saw in Madrid. We saw 2 players, who could have both beaten the other in that day. So yeah, I would say that it's a huge achievement. It's an achievement to cheer for her, because it's something huge, especially at 28, with the career you're having, with your, this kind of steady but constant progress. And now she has done it. She's reached the top because she has won a WTA 1000. She has made a Grand Slam final. And you know what? There are only 2 Italian women in history that have done both. And, the other is Pennetta, even if Pennetta won both finals. Both in the 1000 and in the Slam. So, you've reached an incredible result, which is also difficult to put into perspective, just right now. And I'm sure that she will think about that, not tomorrow because her tournament isn't over, but in the next few days, for sure.
I'll just say that this year we've mentioned a lot that if Rybakina and Sabalenka are able to match Świątek in terms of their ceilings, in terms of their peak games, maybe they're not as consistent. So if they are in the other half of the draw and they lose somewhere, then it becomes anyone can reach the final. And that's not a dig at Paolini, because that already happened to her twice this year. Dubai, Roland Garros. So I mean, in a way, she's definitely been the next best thing this season. And in Dubai, she managed to win the final. Of course, today she didn't.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's just go a little bit bigger picture here in terms of Iga and she's getting. I mean, she's legendary status in French Open clay territory already, which is just, for me, it's you win probably 2 French Opens, 3 French Opens, you're already in that conversation, because there's just not many people in history have ever done that. I mean, does she need to win Wimbledon? Does she need to win more slams on hard courts, Vanch, for us to sort of? Legend is a subjective term, because many people, especially if they're an Iga fan, will already have her in that territory. But are we already talking about one of the legends of the sport, Vanch?
Yeah, I think she's a legend of the sport already, and kind of in that all-time great territory. But the thing is, I mean, if she could win all the slams, that would cement her for sure. I mean, I think Wimbledon is definitely something she can achieve in her career for sure, even in the next 4 or 5 years, and Australian Open as well. I actually think that might be harder to win than Wimbledon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of my feeling. But I do predict that at the end of her career, I made this prediction with Iga and Carlos, that I think they'll have the career slam.
Yeah. And if only there was, we should get a podcast or something, Mario, and call it the Iga let's call it the Alcaraz and Świątek show. I think
Świątek has to be first, women first.
Maybe, but then if we go Alcaraz and Świątek, and I'll tell you why, it's ass. So there's something to play with there in terms of the play on words. And if you're tuning in and wondering why I've gone in this strange direction, it's because Damien and Vanch have a podcast called the Iga and Carlos Show. So make sure you check that out. Of course, there'll be plenty. Oh, wow, you guys. I think we spoke about this before, where did you have them both win a title 1 week recently? Or Indian Wells, right? Yeah, Indian Wells. Yeah. But that's the only time in the 50 or 60 week history of the show, I believe. Am I right? And yet, in 24 hours or so, we might have the biggest blockbuster, the 4-hour episode of Iga and Carlos show incoming. So keep an eye out to that, and make sure you download and tune into their podcast. But having spoken to Damien in Estoril about how many the numbers you're getting for your show, I don't think we need to promote it, because I think you're tripling the numbers I'm getting on the podcast download. So don't download. No, you can download their show, of course.
There are a lot of Iga Swiatek fans in the world. But yeah, I mean, basically since the beginning of the clay season, I think both me and Vanch were like, I mean, Roland Garros double. I mean, I feel it, Do you feel it? Yes. And that was pretty much half our conversations. So 50% of the way. Obviously, this seems to be the easier 50% of the way. But then again, I mean, Iga had to save a match point along the way. And that's maybe something as well that, bigger picture is a topic here. Just the fact that obviously this now becomes like a proper legendary what-if moment. If Osaka beats Świątek there, who knows what sort of, what would just unveil on the courts in Paris. No one has a clue. No one will ever know. Osaka, of course, knows these moments herself, having beaten Muguruza in Australia, right, and then won the title. Yeah. So saving match points. So I mean, this is definitely a match that will be memorable, that will be remembered, if not only for its quality, but also for the match points. And when it comes to Iga winning other slams, I think this only puts more pressure on her at Roland Garros, right? I mean, yesterday with Nick on the post Zverev Ruud analysis, I think I was actually mentioning that Alcaraz, for someone like him, you need to win a slam every year to make it a success. Like it doesn't matter how well you do in like ATP thousands, WTA thousands, WTA finals, ATP finals. If you don't win a slam and you're considered a player like Alcaraz or Świątek, it's a failure. It's just a bad year for you. And Iga, of course, because she's not been doing well at the other slams, I mean, she hasn't threatened to win any other slam that Roland Garros other than that one US Open, not one edition. Because of that, there's even more pressure on her Roland Garros. But I don't know, maybe now she just enters the next two playing a bit more freely. And yeah, I mean, she's going to be in contention. We know what her consistency is, even on hard courts or on grass, like in terms of just beating the first few players without many issues. And I don't know, maybe she gets into the quarters, the semis, and actually this time manages to convert. Who knows? But yeah, certainly if she is going to be like, in terms of like 10, 15 slams or something like that, if she wants to do it just by winning Roland Garros, she needs to dominate it the same way Nadal did. For now, she's kind of on track.
She is kind of on track, yeah.
She is on track, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about this sort of legendary status that I'm kind of already putting upon her, Mario?
For me, she's a legend, first of all, because how many players are able to win 5 slam? 5, it starts becoming a huge number. And so, I mean, then I am always, you all know how I am, like I always try to stay kind of feet on the ground with the no, it's the opposite, sorry. For me, winning some slams, it's something huge in itself. So, and I think that she's won 5. She has legendary, run also as the world number 1, so many weeks staying there and so many titles. Yeah, for sure, of course, it would be nice. I feel like it's a small niche group, those players who complete the career Grand Slam. So for sure, it would be a big addition. For example, I think that's, for example, the biggest reason why Sharapova, Venus Williams has 2 more slams, but Sharapova having the career Grand Slam, it's huge, even if you win a couple less, sorry, in my opinion. So for sure, it would be a very, very big thing. But in the end, when you have, you are number 1 in the world, and also not for a few weeks, but as one of the, players who stay there the most, and you have 5 slams, you earned to be among the legends of this game. Then, of course, having won 4 French Opens, maybe these 5 slams, maybe there can be a little bit of pressure, of course, for her to, perform well also, especially in the 2 that she hasn't yet won. But let's see, she still has a lot of time. So I would say that being 23 and having all this, I would say, yeah, legend, it fits well. That's what I think.
You mentioned Sharapova there as well, and like, she also has 5 slams. And let's just be honest, like other than the status in terms of, contracts, sponsorships and stuff, like Sharapova has nothing on Świątek.
Right, yeah. 5 Grand Slams, by the way. I mean, how many women have done that in history? 5 or more, I mean. What are we looking at? 15 players? I don't know. More or less, I don't know.
Counting, but I mean...
Yeah.
It's still not a big group, so
no, exactly.
They can be 2 more, 2 less, but it doesn't make that much.
What do you think? What do you think is a sort of a thing? Because on this topic, would you rather have 10 Grand Slams or 5 Grand Slams, but they are on at each of the 4, majors? So you've got, let's say, 2 Roland Garros, 1 Wimbledon, 1 US, and 1 Australia. What is kind of the more glittering CV? If you've got 10 Grand Slams, but 8 of them were in Paris and 2 were at the US Open, or it's almost an Agassi-Sampras kind of thing going on with this debate. But the problem with that one is that Sampras was the leading guy with 14 for so many years that everyone would still, and he also got 3.
Here I argue with everybody because I am the Agassi supremacist.
I like the Agassi CV. I just think that, and I would of that little debate I just said there, 5 and 10. I'd probably go 5. Certainly for tennis enthusiasts and tennis nerds, I think I would go for the 5 over the 10. But then if you compare it with Sampras, who got him across 3 slams, and he was the leader with 14 for so many years. So Agassi was never the leader, if you like. But Ghosty here saying Agassi was better than Sampras. I mean, certainly I found Agassi more fun to watch. What are you thinking on these topics, Vanch?
Yeah, I mean, Agassi, Sampras. The thing is, if the slam gap is so big, then obviously then Sampras still probably outweighs it and stuff. And then you look at their rivalry, and then the major finals that Sampras won like 4 of their 5 major finals and most of their big matches. But going back to Iga, yeah, no, it's absolutely it's absolutely legendary. And but I do think like at some point she's gonna win all 4. I don't know when, I don't know where, but I mean I don't know when, like, and in the time frame, but I would say when her career is over, that's kind of my feeling, that she's gonna get all 4. Like I definitely see her winning Wimbledon and Australian Open at least once.
I mean, Wimbledon is next. I've got Hubie Hurkacz as well, congratulating Iga. I mean, Wimbledon is next. What are we thinking in terms of that? Where does she rank right now in terms of the favourites for Wimbledon? Is she 3rd favourite, 4th favourite, 2nd favourite? What are your thoughts, Damien? Look, go on, Mario. Mario's got something to say. Go on, Mario. First?
Yeah.
Wow.
Me,
Mario, I thought this meant I want to speak about this, and then, but actually,
she's more vulnerable. At least maybe I can say that it's equal between her and and for example Sabalenka, Rybakina, if it. But for me, I can't say that she's player is below anybody on. I just can't. Even if I don't know, she can play so well when she plays well, and she has what it takes, in my opinion. So yeah, she is a bit more vulnerable, but for me, it's difficult for me to say that she's 3rd or 4th favorite. That's my take. And
I don't know, man. I mean, we might as well run into a similar situation like last year with Wimbledon when we were entering it and Iga was like the betting favorite. Iga was the favorite in terms of percentages because she just had the best draw. She was simply more, let's say, it was more likely that she gets to the quarters. Eventually, of course, it was actually very tough for her against Bencic in the 4th round. But like, it was more likely she goes deep than Rybakina or Sabalenka because they were just placed in different parts of the draw. But yeah, I can't honestly say that she's above Rybakina or Sabalenka in the power rankings for now. Like, no, just no. I haven't seen enough to think that she will beat them, either of them on grass, or at least be the favorite over either of them in an individual match. So without seeing the draw, I think 1 is a little much. Like there's not that many players you can honestly put above her anyway, because you're probably not going Collins. You might try Keys if someone is very like ballsy on her. Goff, I don't know, on grass. What would happen if they play on grass, which I guess for both of them is like, well, kind of the weakest. I have no idea. So I guess you could only really go Rybakina and Sabalenka above her, but yeah, for now I can't really say she's number 1.
I don't know. My take is that there is a 1-1-1 probably situation right now. I'm not seeing her above them.
If plays Rybakina on grass tomorrow, who's the favorite?
Iga against who? Iga against Rybakina or Sabalenka?
I posed this question with Rybakina in mind. You can also go Sabalenka.
Okay. I mean, if it's just a random one-off match and we've never seen anything over the grass court season, and they're just for some reason playing a match on Tuesday, and it's the most important match of their life, yeah, I guess I'm gonna lean Rybakina. Yeah, I guess. But
yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, that's what I think.
But it's I think it's very small, the margin.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind if I'm not objecting to you suggesting that Świątek would be fair. Of course, that will change every day over the next 3 weeks as we see Berlin and Bad Homburg and all this. I mean, Berlin, I think, is stacked in a almost Stuttgart-esque. Am I right with that in thinking there's going to be quite a few? Świątek is playing, for example, and Rybakina and Sabalenka, I think, are all playing Berlin this year. So, yeah.
There are all the top 10 players.
All
Yeah.
10.
because it was 9 out of 10, but Paolini has entered the top 10 with this
there
run
you
at the
go.
French
There you
Open.
go.
So actually, all the top 10 players are.
Good job, Jasmine. Good job. Good job.
Good. Yeah, Berlin is gonna be awesome then. Hopefully
The
they
entry
all.
list.
Who did she throw out of the top 10, by the way?
Collins.
Yeah,
Colin.
Collins is now 11.
Collins got to number 11.
And Collins
Paolini
will
is-
get back up there soon anyway, I
Is
guess.
Collins playing Berlin? No, she's not playing Berlin.
I mean, the
I think
WTA schedules are,
No. Well,
but
I-
no, she's not. She's only playing Eastbourne and then Wimbledon.
Yeah, that's still good enough, I think. But anyway, yeah, it's a tricky one. But yeah, that'll influence our opinions. Not that I think Berlin winners have tended to do that well at Wimbledon, or am I getting that wrong? Maybe that's recency bias. Just looking at the last.
Kind of recent event anyway, so
Yeah,
know,
true. Yeah,
not
yeah.
much history of that.
But I'm also thinking about the Halle Wimbledon curse that Bublik kind of broke last year by winning Halle, and then I'm probably listen. I've got a press pass for Halle this year, but I might also have Berlin. I've spoken to Mario about this already, but we'll maybe talk about this more, but a bit off. Yeah, but anyway, that's a separate issue. We'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, that's going to be stacked, and that's going to give us a few clues. Vanch, just quickly with you on this Iga Wimbledon sort of conversation, and you and I are both of the belief that she will win it one day, but we don't quite believe that day to be this year, do we?
Could happen. I mean, depends on draw and form, but I still think like I mean the top
Vanch
four
hedging
players,
his bets. That's a classic.
Like-
Could happen.
like look,
Yeah,
like the top 4 players in the world I think are still the top 4 favorites. I can't really put anybody like really above them on grass at this point. Kind of. So like I don't know if it's like a 3-way tie, or maybe like if they, the thing is, yeah, if they play each other, like Świątek, Sabalenka, Rybakina right now on grass, you think, would win if that match was tomorrow. But, percentage wise, maybe we might look at the draw again and we'll go Iga is the favorite like we did last year. And
What
maybe
about
this
this,
time she
by the way?
converts.
What about this? Coco Gauff is world number 2.
Yeah.
And assuming she stays there in terms of the seedings, we'll have Rybakina and Sabalenka 3 and 4. Yeah, right. So only one of those though would still stay.
That means we finally get a Goff versus Rybakina match.
Oh, they could happen, but not
It
if
could
Rybakina
happen, yeah, 50%.
falls into
But
the
yeah.
half. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Coco could look at a very nice draw to the final potentially. But as I think I'm with Damien on Coco and grass.
Yeah,
and
it
I
will
think-
depend on Berlin actually, because if Sabalenka wins Berlin, she will play Wimbledon as the number 2 seed.
As the number 2. Okay, yeah. She has to win Berlin. Okay, gotcha.
So
But-
it depends. Berlin will, if both plays, or even if not, will decide who's going to be the
Right.
second
By
seed.
the way, being number 3 and 4 for Rybakina and Sabalenka might be better for them rather than being 2 and 4. If we subscribe to the idea that Iga is slightly
Yeah.
behind them both on grass, because
I agree.
if they're 2 and 4, then they could be in the same half. Whereas if they are 3 and 4, obviously they can't be. So there are lots of things to play out there, but obviously you want to win tournaments. And Boris Becker now is chatting in English on Eurosport. He's with Mats Wilander and
Yeah,
what's
that's
her
where
name?
I closed.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Oh, Becker. I like the guy. But yeah. Okay.
I think John McEnroe was especially disgusting today on the broadcast.
Oh, was he? Why? What was
First of
he?
all, of course, he had no idea what Jasmine Paolini plays, but also he started like criticizing Iga like pretty casually about not wearing more makeup for the final, even though she has.
Really?
Are you
Yeah.
serious? No.
McEnroe said that?
I can't.
Wait, McEnroe or who?
McEnroe.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm not really surprised. Wait, is this Eurosport commentary? Like, what?
I don't know. I just saw a lot of tweets about it on my timeline.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe I need to listen to the clip to because obviously tweets on timelines
Yeah.
can be a little deceptive. But okay, I'll try and find that somewhere somehow. All right, let's find out one more question. Iga-esque. I guess we should focus on that. I mean, a lot of my thoughts in years to come will be about that match with Naomi Osaka And I like the way Damien sort of mentioned the what if things, because we have got a few of those in tennis that we sort of look back on. I'm thinking about Rafa with the break points against Novak in a semi-final at Wimbledon in 2018, and there was I think a passing shot. And of course, if you're a Roger fan, I think we all know what ifs moment. Sorry, Vanch, sorry, Damien, to mention the what if.
Even
moment.
that good though, because that's not a what if. Like, that's a what if when we know exactly what would have happened, because you have match points in the final.
Yeah, it's not a what if. You're right. Yeah, okay, fair enough. You know where I'm getting at, but yeah, fair. I know what you mean.
It is a what if, I guess, but it's just a very different one where you actually know what happens if the other outcome is right. Here, it's even better because it's the second round, and you have no idea what happens in the 5 after that. Maybe Coco loses early to someone because she feels more pressure now that Iga is out. Maybe Rybakina or Sabalenka don't lose their quarterfinals. Maybe Osaka wins the thing, and we're just never.
It's kind of like that Tommy Haas Federer match in 2009, right?
Yeah.
In the what was it?
He didn't get match points though. I don't think, did he? He was a break. Was he a break up or break points?
Yeah, he was a break point up at 4-3 in the third. When he said Tommy Haas Federer, I just thought of Stuttgart 2017 instantly, and I was like, what? What is there?
Yeah,
but he had a break points in the third, and Federer finds the line with the +1 forehand. Yeah, and that would be a good example because by then Rafa is out of the tournament, Roger is out of the tournament, so.
But then that was up for grabs. Yeah.
Maybe Delpo just 2 slams earlier, maybe Soderling, maybe Gonzalez, maybe Haas.
Yeah.
I have seen Tommy Haas play Roger Federer in Australia in 2006. 5 sets, Federer win. Yeah, I was there for that one. But anyway, Iga Naomi. I remember 1 or 2 people sort of saying afterwards, well, maybe this shows that Iga's going to be more vulnerable this year. I did not subscribe to that opinion at all, and I think I've been vindicated in the fact the way she's gone on to not drop a set since. I was like, it's not going to be like Australia when I think she was sort of looking vulnerable in the first couple of rounds there, and it got kind of progressively worse, if that makes sense, in terms of her obviously going out pretty early. Whereas I thought
to face Rybakina Sabalenka later, right? But I think if we got that final, we would probably be looking at that Osaka match as something that could maybe suggest that, she's beatable. She's beatable. But with the opponents that she got after that.
In answer to a question a bit left field, but I'm going to answer it anyway, Ghosty. No, Nakashima is set down in the first set to Reedy. So that will be for a place in the final in Surbiton, and we'll get hopefully some interviews posted up on our channel pretty soon from Surbiton.
I put on the commentary for a second from that match.
This is the first time, by the way, this is the first time I think I've seen this since I've seen Świątek's coach interviewed in English.
Yeah, I guess. I don't think I've heard
on mainstream TV anyway.
But I mean, he coached Danilovic. He coached a few foreign players. So.
By the way, look at Korecha there. I mean, he's smiling and staring into his eyes. There's it's a little bit overawed by it there, Korecha, I think, for some reason. But look, there's a little arm around the shoulder and stuff. Yeah, he's
like if I had Viktorovski in my team, I would have won one of these 2 slam finals.
There was a tweet that I almost responded to with Vance recently, didn't I? And you said, don't do it, Damien, don't do it. And that was related to Korecha maybe winning a slam that he never did. Do you remember that a couple of weeks ago or last week? There was a tweet and you said, don't do it. I was actually sharing the screen at the time as I was writing it, I think. Maybe it was like someone who's won one Grand Slam and I can't remember that. It was a Vance tweet. Anyway.
It was something with Korecha. Yeah. You were about to say that he won a slam or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Listen, I think we've done both the match and post Iga thoughts and all the rest of it. Make sure, of course, you tune in tomorrow when we will have the men's final between Alexander Zverev and Carlos Alcaraz.
I just wanted to say that I'm really interested to see what's going to happen at the Olympics, because she will be the huge favorite, and I still think she will do it, but it's still, in my opinion, there will be more pressure than even more pressure if I don't know, it's an event that plays out every 4 years, and if you really care about it, I don't know. Can be interesting to see how I still think she is not going to suffer a lot under this pressure, but it just things that popped up right now in my mind, and I'm gonna be interested to see if there's going to be any difference between the French Open campaigns that she had and the Olympics, or if it's going to be just the same way.
A very
Iga-
different event. It only lasts a week, and yeah, I mean, there's going to be pressure which she's going to put on herself. Her last loss at the Olympics, she was crying. She clearly sort of like will also be thinking about representing the country and stuff. There will be a lot of pressure.
Yeah, different kind of pressure, maybe worse pressure in some ways. I mean, some people thrive in these.
Probably
some people-
more.
Yeah, some people thrive in these situations, that they prefer a collective pressure representing their country, and other people find it more difficult. And I'm thinking about other sports as well. Matthew's got a question here. Are Iga and Hubie playing doubles, Damien?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Hubert is likely going to play all three competitions, just because Zielinski, unless he's in the top 10 by then, which, well, I don't think he probably would have to be in the top 10 by after Roland Garros even. So yeah, I mean, Hubert is probably going to play all three, and Iga mixed and singles.
Okay, cool. I think that brings a close to this episode, where, of course, we've just seen Iga Swiatek win her 4th French Open and 5th Grand Slam overall. Mario, Damien, Vanch, thank you very much for today, for joining me for this French Open final, and catch up with you all again very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Indeed, yeah, thanks.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.